Hi, welcome to Reddit Tea Time. Growing up, my father was a jerk to me and my mother. She never stood up for me or herself. When I turned 17, I called my father out for his behavior, so my parents cut me off financially as punishment. I moved in with a friend and her parents and then got myself to college. I refused to speak about what happened as I was embarrassed for not standing up to my father sooner. After college, I was surprised to learn that so many of my high school teachers and friends' parents were proud of me for getting away from a bad situation, as I never realized anyone even knew what I put up with. Now my parents are elderly and my mother says that my father forgives me for my bad behavior. E.g., I didn't want to celebrate holidays with the family as my father would get jealous if I had more presents than he did. My mother wants me to come home to heal the family. My father still denies his behavior and says I've torn the family apart by not treating him with the respect he's owed as a parent. When I try to help my mother, as her health isn't great, he becomes angry and takes it out on her. I just emotionally don't want to enter into that situation again and refuse to visit or allow my father into my house. Now my mother is angry with me, saying I'm being selfish for not being willing to put aside my feelings to do this before she dies. Am I the bonehead? Not the bonehead. You don't have to let that toxicity back into your life to keep the peace. It's your father who is ruining the family, not you. Stay strong. Not the bonehead. Your father forgiving you is exactly why you don't need him in your life. There's nothing for him to forgive. He should be asking for your forgiveness. Not the bonehead. Both parents are abusive and manipulative, and they're the selfish one. Protect your own emotional and mental well-being by looking after yourself first. They're not going to look after you. It sounds like they never have, so you must do it. Block them if need be. Why would you want to listen to their complaints and demands? I, 33 male, am a single father, and this week I called the nanny to look after my daughter because I was too sick to do so. She was kind enough to prepare the meals for us and to look after me. I wasn't able to move and just slept most of the time, and I didn't care about wearing a shirt because I was staying in my room. My sister came unannounced that day and saw the nanny come to my room to give me some water and said that it was inappropriate for me to let the nanny see me shirtless in the bedroom. She shouted, and I know that the nanny and my daughter heard her because my daughter came to ask if everything was okay with Auntie after that. I have to be honest, my sister is persuaded that there's something between me and the babysitter and dislikes her a lot. She thinks that there's still a place in my daughter's life for her mother. I have full custody. And hates the fact that my daughter likes her nanny a lot. I don't have feelings anymore for my ex, who says to every person she meets that she's still in love with me. I'm sure she wouldn't react if the nanny was 20 years younger. At least I'm relieved that my sister didn't attack the nanny, who didn't seem bothered by the situation. It's the first time she came into my bedroom, and she always asked for my permission to do so, but I also understand that others might think that it was improper. Am I the bonehead for letting the nanny come to my bedroom? Edit. Many people are asking in the comments, the nanny is 23, she's serious and very good with my daughter. I would trust her more with my child than her own mother. Edit 2, I will try to do an update. I'm not really used to this subreddit. Now for some comments. Not the bonehead. Your sister's a big idiot trying to meddle in your life, and the one of your daughter too. You need to set some strict boundaries with her. Not the bonehead. Your sister is over-invested in your love life. Not the bonehead, but since the nanny is your employee, you should be fully clothed when she's working in your home. She might not be comfortable seeing you without a shirt, and she should not have to tell you that. OP said, I understand that. We didn't talk about it, but I understand that it can be problematic. Not the bonehead. Stand your ground. You're an adult and capable of making your own decisions. Your sister has no right to micromanage your life, and unless asked, should keep her opinions to herself. As for the shirtless thing, this is a home where people live and clothing on clothing happens, not a business office. There's no employer-employee dress code unless one was made at the start of the job. Shirtless does not equal indecent, and considering you are bedridden and sick, this doesn't even come close to a sexualized situation. Your nanny seems like she has everything well managed and is a professional. Let her decide for herself. Maybe ask her for her opinion. Your sister has gone off the rails with her imagined drama though. Ugh. OP said, yes, I was thinking about asking for my nanny's opinion because I don't want her to feel uncomfortable around us. So me, 21 female, and my now husband, 21 male, just got married 2 weeks ago. We didn't have a typical wedding. We did a small ceremony at an Airbnb and just hung out with our family and friends and then did a bonfire. The morning of the wedding, my parents and grandparents were there helping set up and cook dinner, and the wedding party was also there. My husband, we'll just call him Bob, has asked his godparents to bring drinks by for later. When they got there, they brought the drinks up and Bob had noticed in the back their wedding clothes. His godmom, we'll call her Patty, had brought a white lace dress to wear for the wedding. He immediately told his best man, who then came and told me what was going on and asked if I wanted her to wear something else. I said yes. Bob then goes and tells her nicely, "Hey, so I don't think we're comfortable with you wearing a white dress to the wedding. Is there something else you could wear?" She immediately got aggressive with my husband and said, "Well, it's 90 degrees out and I want to wear light colors." Okay, well, there's a lot of light colors you can wear. She calls my mother-in-law and starts going off about how we're making her change and she doesn't have time to go back to the hotel. It's 11 a.m. and the ceremony wasn't until 4. I walked away from the situation. I was trying to get ready. Time passes and I'm walking down the aisle. Patty is in the sweatpants and flip-flops she was wearing to drop off the drinks. I was so embarrassed, but I didn't want to ruin our moment walking down the aisle. I never said anything. During the reception, his family sat at one table the entire time and left after an hour and a half and had a poor attitude. We haven't really talked to my in-laws since the wedding because we had hurt feelings. Now my mother-in-law is going off on us for not talking to them and making it seem like I was being a bridezilla by making her change, and that we have no right to be upset. Are we overreacting? Now for some comments. Not the bonehead. The audacity you need to wear white lace to someone else's wedding. Another commenter said, "Her going to the wedding in sweats and flip-flops in a sulk is hilarious. I think from now on I'm going to recommend to any bride worried someone will wear white to the wedding that she have some ratty sweats and flip-flops on hand for the maid of honor to offer as replacement clothing. Let's make sweats of shame a thing, guys." Not the bonehead. You seem to have a good husband, OP. Set boundaries now and make sure in-laws know it'll be enforced. Not the bonehead. There's a billion other light colors. Taste the rainbow, don't wear white at a wedding. WTF? That's for godmom, just to be clear. Not the bonehead. Why white? Just why? Why do people insist on wearing white to others' wedding and then being shocked when the bride doesn't agree? Not the bonehead. I, 28 male, pretty much have one of my grandfather's properties. I don't live in it and it's still in his name, but when he passes, it will be mine. He's been struggling with physical and mental health, so it's not been in the best condition and he's been staying at a nursing home where he can have round-the-clock care. I've put a lot of work into renovating and modernizing it. I cleaned out and renovated the pool, modernized the kitchen, etc. Not all at once, but little by little over the last few years. I even put a hot tub in the back. The house is not fully renovated as of yet, still working on one of the bathrooms and a bedroom and the basement, etc. But it's a good place to stay. Not sure if I'll stick around this area forever, but if I don't, I'll just rent it out to people. I let friends and family stay in the house if they need it. If someone's coming into town for a few days, they stay at the house. I have cameras in the front and in the back and along the sides. They're not hidden by any means, and anyone could easily look and see them. A friend, 27 female, wanted to host a D&D game night there, and I let them. It was a weekend-long thing, and I even stopped by for a little bit and had fun. Nobody trashed anything, and my guests are all very respectful and clean. My cameras notified me when lots of motion is detected, and it told me motion was detected in the pool hot tub area in the back. Not that I would care if they used those, but I was told they wouldn't, and it was a bit after they said they'd be gone. I checked the footage and my friend is very much naked with a man and they were touching each other. I exited quickly and later texted her, "Just a heads up, there are cameras on the outside of my property." This caused her to blow up over text. Lots of, "Why are you pointing that out? Did you see something?" and "Why didn't you tell me?" And she was panicking. I just told her that I saw her for a split second and exited and erased the footage. I said that I would appreciate if she didn't engage in those activities in my hot tub, but that it's not a big deal. She said I should have told her, but there are obvious cameras around and there are signs on windows saying there is 24/7 camera surveillance. Now for some comments. Not the bonehead, your property, your rules. Also with the pool hot tub where accidents frequently happen. It's good to have for liability purposes. At the risk of being crude, I hate it when people think it's okay to use someone else's hot tub like that. I mean, really. Show some respect, people. Ew. Not the bonehead, especially if you have signs. Plus, it's 2023. There are Ring cameras everywhere. In someone else's house, you really only have nudity privacy expectations in bedrooms and bathrooms. Not the bonehead, it's your home. This is the risk you take when you go for shenanigans while a guest somewhere. And you did say there are signs up about the cameras, and having signs up does count as telling her. I, 45 female, divorced my ex, 45 male, about 10 years ago after he accused me of infidelity. We have 3 kids, 17 male, 13 female, and 12 female. And for the first 2 kids, it took quite a while to conceive. We originally wanted 3 kids back to back to back, but things didn't go according to plan. When I was pregnant with my youngest, Julie, he started getting distant. He always blamed himself for our issues conceiving, even though we never got tested. So when I was pregnant with Julie so quickly after our middle child, his behavior changed. After she was born, he'd say things like, "How come she doesn't look like me as much as Amy, our middle?" And then straight up accused me of cheating on him. That's when things fell apart. I never cheated on him. I never did anything of the sort. But the final straw was when he demanded a DNA test. I told him if he doesn't trust me and takes the test, I'll file for divorce. He took the test. Julie is his, but the damage was done. We divorced when Julie was 2. His relationship with Julie has always been cold. He would call his other kids nicknames like Buddy and Sweetie, but he would always call her Julie. Julie, unlike my 2 other kids, was always into sports. She's really good at soccer, and suddenly my ex now has more interest in her. He's attending her games and even drives her out to tournaments a few hours away. Apparently, he talks a lot about her because our mutual friends would say, "Jake said Julie was doing well in soccer," when he never really talked about her at all before this. I know he's only interested in her because of her abilities, and it hurts me. I told myself I would play nice because Julie is happy, and that's the most important thing. Recently, on a long tournament trip, it was just me and Julie in the car, and she asked why her dad suddenly started liking her. She told me she always wondered why she wasn't given the same attention as her siblings, and asked what happened and why did we get divorced. My go-to line for the divorce question is sometimes people fall out of love with each other, and that's what's happened. And from my understanding, that's what my ex also said. But when she was talking about this, I looked over and saw she had tears in her eyes. I talked to my parents and some friends, and half of them are telling me she needs to know. The other half tell me I would be a bonehead for ruining a father-daughter relationship that finally got off the ground. I know he doesn't deserve it, but Julie does. She deserves a dad who loves her and treats her like his other kids, and her finding out the truth may ruin that. I mean, my ex already ruined it for 12 years. So would I be the bonehead if I tell Julie the truth about her dad? Edit. Last night, Julie was practicing and being very aggressive with her shots. Afterwards, I went into Julie's room to talk about what she said, and she let out 12 years of anger and frustration in about 30 seconds. She said she tried so hard to get her dad to like her, and would copy her siblings hoping he'd treat her like them. I didn't say anything except comforted her and listened. I'm looking to send Julie to a therapist soon, and maybe all 5 of us later on. She needs one, and I think it would be best for all involved. I'll be speaking to my ex this weekend and telling him what happened and see what he says. Honestly, I don't know what to do in order to protect the truth from being misinterpreted. Now for some comments. Now, I was prepared to tell you to clench your teeth and don't tell her because she doesn't deserve that burden. But then I read she already knows or noticed and is fully aware of her father's change. It must have been really horrible before. So now I think you should explain carefully but truthfully. She can move on from there. I think you should talk to a child therapist first. Explain how Julie knows something is wrong and ask how you should proceed, not the bonehead. No judgment here. I'm torn on this since she already knows something isn't right. The not knowing why might be just as bad as knowing why. She's not 8 anymore, and sooner or later she'll find out the truth. When she finds out, say 5 years from now, she'll also have to come to terms with the fact that her mom has been lying to her for years. I would say she deserves the truth, and she already suspects it's not pretty. But you need to be very careful with choosing your words. Ask yourself, how would a 12-year-old feel if mom told her dad cold-shouldered her for 12 years because he didn't think she was his? Highly suggest talking to a child therapist about the best way to handle it. Another commenter said, He found out when she was 2, I believe, so that wasn't the reason. I guess she just reminded him of his transgressions. I want to start this off by saying that I think I'm probably in the wrong here. One of my 22 female best friends, 29 female, was showing me pictures of her niece, 3 female. We had both been drinking, and this was the first time she ever said her entire first name. Up until this point, I'd only heard her nickname used before. The name is shockingly bad, and I laughed out loud at it. My friend asked why that was funny, and then I realized that she was not only serious but also really liked the name. When we were both sober, she again brought it up and said she wanted her child to have the same name. She isn't pregnant, but I still gave my 2 cents on it and told her that the name just isn't bad. It's almost laughable. She got really upset and said that it was a beautiful name and felt disrespected that I was acting so hostile. I guess I could have been nicer about it, but I still think it needed to be said. So am I the bonehead? Edit. I did some quick Google searches and realized that it would be very hard to track down this child as her name is a word in the English language. Her name is Iridescent Love. Now for some comments. Not the bonehead. You're supposed to give your kids a regular name and let them pick their own stripper name. OP said, I didn't want to say that, but that was the first thing that came to mind when I heard it. Oh, for crying out loud. This is why some countries have approved lists of names that parents have to pick from, to spare kids nonsense like this. Not the bonehead. Not the bonehead. Your friend's niece's name is an adjective used to describe the luminosity of colors. That poor child. Her parents have damned her for all time. One commenter said, stay tuned for the siblings. Translucence and opaque. Info. How do you define bad? If the nickname is Billy and the name is Wilhelmina, that's just old-fashioned. If the nickname is Ginny and the name is Vagina, then that's bad. OP said, her name is Iridescent and they call her Ira. Another commenter said, Ira means wrath and anger in Italian. It makes sense. OP is not the bonehead. It would be like someone giving birth and someone says, aw, he looks just like his daddy, whose name is, let's say, Bob Anderson. And then the mom goes, that's what I'll name him, like Bob Anderson. And then she actually does. And this kid is walking around for the rest of his life being known as like Bob Anderson. What's your name? Like? Like what? Like. What do you think? Should parents just stick to regular names or should they make it up and name their kids like Bob Anderson?
What do you think? Please let me know in the comments below. If you liked this story and you've made it this far, please consider subscribing. I really appreciate you spending your valuable time with me. Hopefully, I'll see you in the next Reddit story. In the meantime, please take care of yourself. Bye for now.